It wasn't just the Aussie bowlers that took a pounding in that match. It was my heart that took a pounding as well. The poor thing still seems to be beating at the rate of knots. That's how pulsating that encounter was. Went right down to the wire, and it was certainly a gripping contest. It was squeaky bum time for long sections of the chase. Ayaz Memon and Mandira Lalwani had predicted before the start of the series that India would win the T20I series comfortably. See, that's exactly why we pay them the big bucks and call them a pundits. Ayaz, Mandira, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ayaz, an absolute T20 classic, if ever there was one.
Oh, yes. I think, look, a big score to chase and then to do it in such spectacular style. Hardik Pandya has been, in my opinion, the batsman of the series so far, or the tour so far from India's point of view. And he's just reiterating every time he walks out to bat how much he's matured and how much of a match winner, the mindset is of a match winner. And, just as an aside, I've been writing about it and I've been maintaining that he should send him back, because then if you want him later, you can't get him. There'll be 14-day quarantine. He's the man in form, maybe a Shikhar Dhawan. Like, they did with Natarajan. They included him in the ODI squad. So why don't you just shift these guys to the test squad and keep them there? He's a man in, he can bat. He can play as a specialist batsman on his own.
Mandira, your thoughts on this interesting point that Ayaz brought up. Would you be tempted to add Hardik Pandya in the starting 11 for the test matches as a specialist batsman?
Absolutely. He's been in terrific form. He's proven again today as to why he's so indispensable for the Indian side. And as far as today's match is concerned, a few things that I want to talk about. First and foremost is 10 out of 10 international T20 games for the Indian team, which, before the series, people were starting to wonder whether Virat's captaincy in this format should continue or not. I think he's silenced everybody with this 10 out of 10 score for one. The other thing is the bowlers. We did not have Jasprit Bumrah, we did not have Mohammad Shami. And there's a lot of heart to take from the fact that we had youngsters. We had T. Natarajan, who again stood out spectacularly, Shardul Thakur. And Hardik, despite dropping that one catch of Matthew Wade's at that point in time at the start of the match, he's more than redeemed himself. So I think it's been a phenomenal match, lots to take from it. And definitely Hardik Pandya makes a very strong case for inclusion in the test side.
Absolutely. And we spoke about the heroics of Hardik Pandya, but Ayaz, a word on India's all-round batting performance. You had KL Rahul, 30 of 22, Shikhar Dhawan, 52 of 36. You had Virat Kohli, 40 of 24. Sanju Samson, the only one missing out, but then Hardik Pandya and Shreyas Iyer with the final flourish. So complete all-round performance, wasn't it, with the bat?
Oh, absolutely. And when you're chasing 194, you can't have just one player leading your team to victory. That can happen, if it happens, it's a rarity. Otherwise, you need 3 or 4 to contribute. And, flying start by Dhawan and Rahul, and then Virat, I thought, played a very crucial knock, because he ensured that, the run rate, the asking run rate didn't go beyond gettability, so to speak. And then, of course, even Sanju Samson, 15 of 10 deliveries is a vital component at that point in time. And then, of course, you have Pandya, who I think, I don't need to expend more words. We've discussed Pandya quite a lot during the tour so far. But I think this is more than just the victory of this match. I think it's a victory of resolve and of, showing enough bravado as well as ambition. You have to show bravado to bat the way Pandya did and win the way he won the match. But you also have to show ambition. After losing the first 2 ODIs, had you lost the third, by now you would have lost the T20 series also and heading into the test series with a bunch of defeats behind you. I think this has been quite a remarkable turnaround from the third ODI onwards.
Absolutely. And, after Virat Kohli got out, as Indian fans, our hearts certainly sank. Mandira, at any stage during that chase, did you feel that Australia were favourites, perhaps after Kohli getting out? Or did you feel that we had enough firepower left to take us all the way?
I'm the eternal optimist. What kind of
See, I was testing the validity of Mandira's claim.
It's never over till it's really over, because we've seen miracles happen in this game. So, I remember for the first ever 2020 World Cup, that match in Durban, when UV hit those 6 sixes, of 6 balls in that one over. So you just never know what's going to come from from anybody's bat, and especially when you have such hard hitters and such prolific players out there. So no, I did not for a second think that we were in any doubt.
I think the moral of the story is that when Mandara is watching, it's truly never over until it's actually over.
It's not. Except in the beginning, I was a little perturbed with Matthew Wade scoring so rapidly. I wasn't very happy about that. That was stressing me out a bit. So I was very happy when he got out.
But
Absolutely, so were we.
so Anubhav, the thing is, what she's saying is right. When Matthew Wade was going hammer and tongs, it seemed that they would definitely get past 200, which
Yeah.
they didn't, and that was a psychological hump that may have been difficult to overcome. I'm not saying we wouldn't have done it, but difficult to overcome. And look at T. Natarajan's performance in that context. 2 for 20 or 4 overs when the other team has scored 194 is, is just marvelous. So I'm going to make another case here for T. Natarajan to be retained for the Test squad also.
Oh,
Just keep
definitely.
him there. Just keep, even if he doesn't play, just being part of the Test squad is going to add years of maturity to him. You'll fast track his maturity into international cricket.
Ayaz, I've got a bold opinion that it's you talking up T. Natarajan and you speaking very highly of him that actually galvanizes him before every single match. Is that true?
No,
Of course
no,
it
but
is.
he's such a compelling story. I mean, the more one hears and reads about it, and you realize that, it's like when you hear these music and song performances by all people from all over India, and you marvel at the talent that is there in these kids who start singing. And it's pretty much the same where cricket is concerned. Look at the talent which is there in the country, where all they're coming from. Guy's been playing tennis ball for most of his formative years, and his training methods have been different. He's spotted by Bharat Reddy and pushed into slightly big time cricket, and from there, the heart to go out there and perform, I think it's a fantastic story.
And Ayaz showering praise on Varun Chakravarti is one of the reasons why Varun Chakravarti is also on the road to a speedy recovery right now from his injury. Ayaz, we can't talk about that batting performance without talking about that scoop that Virat Kohli hit of Andrew Tye for 6. Where did that come from? Was that AB de Villiers in disguise?
Well, certainly the AB de Villiers influence was there. I tweeted about it saying, can find a word to describe that shot because I can't. And then I got a rash of responses, and all of them said Virat de Villiers, AB de Villiers. So obviously he's borrowed a leaf from his RCB colleague's playbook.
And Mandara, I'll put you on the spot. If you had to find a word to describe that shot, which one would you find?
Absolutely, Virat.
There you go.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant wordplay. Love the wordplay there. 10 on 10 from Mandara. We spoke about lots of positives, so credit where credit's due, but constructive criticism where constructive criticism is due. The fielding has been subpar. Or it's been hot or cold. You see some brilliant run-outs, some brilliant catches, but you see some sitters being dropped as well, like we saw today.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Case in point, Sanjay Manjrekar hypothesized, perhaps in tongue-in-cheek, that the crowds being back could be one of the reasons why the ball is being cited as well by the players. Ayaz, do you see any validity in that claim?
Well, I don't know whether it's true or not. It's difficult to say sitting here and so far away. But it is true that we are seeing a lot of mistakes, especially from some of the greatest fielders, the finest fielders. We've seen Pandya drop a catch. We've seen Jadeja drop a catch. We've seen Virat Kohli. Virat, was recovered his wits, very swiftly and effected a run out. So it didn't cost India anything. But he did drop a sitter. And we've seen also, today Steven Smith didn't go for a catch because he just lost sight of the ball. So, he was short by a couple of yards maybe, but he just couldn't see the ball. So I think something has been happening. I also feel that, there's been very little cricket played. I mean, yes, we had the IPL and all that, but for 6-7 months, there was very little cricket played. And that kind of makes you a little rusty. And look at what's happened. One is injuries that are sprouting up here, there, everywhere. Australian players are getting injured. Indian players are getting injured. West Indies players are getting injured in New Zealand. New Zealand players are getting injured in New Zealand. English and South African players, I don't know what the hell is happening there because everybody seems to be either, hit by either COVID or injured. So this is something which needs a little study to find out what, and more seriously, it needs a little research. What is happening? Is it just because they've been away from competitive cricket for so long and therefore they're taking a little time? Is it because the biosecure bubble, the mind is distracted somewhere else, or what? because it just seems to it's become a syndrome.
I think professional sport and is very very demanding on your body, right? And like you rightly said, one they also probably don't realize because their body is so used to being like this machine most of the year under normal circumstances,
Yeah,
and now
yeah,
that there was such an abrupt halt, and the body has had a chance to heal, recover, and those niggles, etc., which you only wouldn't even realize in your normal course of action or your day or your month, etc. And now the body is being told to now go back and go at it hard once again without that
yeah,
practice of run up. So
yeah,
I think
yeah, yeah.
that is definite. And well, whoever works out after a long break knows very well, like I do. I don't know how many times I've injured myself, but that's like it's become chronic now because when you take a long break, which I continue doing, it's a problem. So
Absolutely. And we're seeing a similar trend in the Premier League as well. At this stage of the season, so 10 games in, we've seen 30% more injuries that have happened this season compared to the same stage in previous seasons. So similar trend in the Premier League as well. Mandara, of course, with India having the series sealed already, India have the license to experiment now. In the third game, changes that you would make going into the third match, we have Mayank Agarwal, who hasn't played a match in this series so far. Navdeep Saini hasn't played a match. Jasprit Bumrah has been rested as well. So any experimentation that you would do
if
to take advantage of this license that we have?
If at all, yes, maybe Mayank Agarwal. Definitely not Bumrah or Shami. I think they're to be rested for the tests entirely. Uh, Continue to play T Natarajan because especially if there's some thought process of retaining him for the tests, the more match practice he has, no matter what format, the better it is. The one thing that I felt in the beginning for the match today was, sorry to get this point out so late, but initially, the reason I think the bowlers got hit, whether it was Shardul Thakur, I think he opened the bowling, was also because again, like we saw in the ODIs, the length. There were too many short balls, and
Mhm.
the and Matthew Wade for one was very quick to capitalize on those. So I think a little bit of experience will come in, as the youngsters especially get more of a chance. So not many changes. Definitely keep Natarajan, no, not Bumrah and Shami. Tempted to get Mayank Agarwal in, maybe rest Shikhar Dhawan. Give him a bit of a break. So that's where I am with these thoughts.
Brilliant. I think we may have lost Ayaz. I wouldn't be surprised if Ravi Shastri has given him a call, thanking Ayaz for the advice that Ayaz may have given him before the start of the T20 series. And if that was the case, then Ayaz's advice certainly proved to be instrumental and vital for Team India. But that's a wrap for this episode of Cricket Pundits. Thank you so much for having joined us for the white ball part of the tour. Ayaz is back. There you go. Ayaz, we were hypothesizing that it must have been Ravi who called you.
No, I actually saw him quite in a very joyous mood after the match. I thought he may have been at the other ground watching, the warm up for the Test match, but he was here and in time. Actually, may have seen both matches because this was a night encounter. So yeah, I think he looked to be very happy.
That reminds me, Ayaz, of course, we had the warm-up game, Australia 8 taking on India 8 today. The fact that Rahane scored a century, you had Pujara as well scoring a 50. So bodes well for India, doesn't it?
It does. Actually, it's a big boost
Don't
for
jinx it,
India.
don't jinx
But the Shubman Gill and Prithvi Shaw scored blobs. They got blobs. So that's a bit of a concern. But I heard your question to Mandira about whether there will be any changes in the last match. So I don't, I don't. Now that the series is won, I don't think they will want to risk Shami and Bumrah at all.
Yeah,
Why if he twists an ankle or falls down trying to tail
exactly.
catch, hurts himself? No, I don't think they'll. For that same or very similar reason, they won't want to risk Mayank Agarwal because the series has been won. There's not much at stake. They'll definitely continue with Natarajan because it gives him more. He's at that stage of his career where the more he plays, the more he gains. So, and likewise for Shikhar Dhawan, otherwise he has to come back to India. The white ball format is over unless they retain him for the Test series. So, I see pretty much the same team playing, give or take, Pandey, Shreyas Iyer, but Shreyas Iyer will get another chance because he didn't do anything wrong today.
Speaking of injured players, what's the update on Rohit Sharma? Will he make it for the test or not? Is there any clarity on that front?
No, not yet because they are going to do an assessment on 11th of December, which is next week at the NCA, National Cricket Academy, where he's been where he's being treated, he's under rehab. But even if he flies out the same night,
He can't make it for the
which
first one.
but effectively it'll be 12th that he'll be in Australia, and he has to have 14 days, quarantine. That is 26th. The first test is on the 17th, and then how does he just jump straight into a test match? I think Shastri has raised that question. How do we judge and assess these players if they come so late? So it's going to be interesting. We will have to wait and see how this whole Rohit Sharma thing is played out.
Absolutely. So certainly some mystery there leading up to the test matches. So that's a wrap for the white ball part of the tour. Time now to turn our attention to the big daddy of the three formats, test matches, the format that Virat Kohli calls as the one giving the most job satisfaction. And it'll certainly give us here at One Play Sports a lot of job satisfaction to bring you reviews leading up to the test matches as well. Stay tuned on our networks for more information pertaining to those. Until then, a goodbye from all of us here in a virtual studio. Take care, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.